Alright, so what I'm going to show you here is on the Railfan Wiki page. I'm going to give them full credit. Some of the train symbol changes that's coming to CSX. Now, I know what you're going to say. Don't trust the Wikipedia pages, blah, blah, blah. But I actually do have a friend who has caught one of the new symbols before. My friend Aiden caught one of the new symbols at Stony Creek, Virginia, probably a couple weeks ago, or somewhere around there. So I'm going to go ahead and just briefly show you what I'm talking about here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start with locals. See these locals, how they're all... The A is Atlanta and Jacksonville Division locals. We won't have those anymore. The C Corbin Division and Conrail Shared Assets locals will be gone as well, as will the Detroit, Cumberland, Baltimore, and Florence Division locals with the D prefix, the Florence Division locals with the F prefix, the H prefix C&O business unit locals, Chicago and Louisville Division locals with the J prefix, the Mobile, Jacksonville, and Nashville Division locals with the M prefix, and finally the O prefix Florida business unit locals. So I'm supposing you're wondering, well, what's going to happen to the locals? Here's what's going to happen. Effective 2/26/2022, all locals will be classified in the L series. Now, as you can see, a couple of them have already surfaced. D758 has already been combined or switched over to L326, which I don't understand, because I would think they would just go ahead and make things more simple and switch it to L758, but they did not do that. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. Of course, we all remember the first change with the CSX symbols. It was the I, the switching the intermodal trains from the QO to the QO and the Q1 to the IO and the I1. And that took a little bit of time to get used to, but that was a minor change, and now we've pretty much all gotten used to it. I remember the first time that I saw I-136 on the Portsmouth sub, I had said that many more changes were to come soon, and I was right. So, moving on, let's look at the K series bulk commodity trains. The KO series, you got the crude oil empties, the K100 series, and the K100 series are crude oil empties, iron ore, coke loads. The K200s are phosphates. I think the K300s are mostly coke, but it doesn't say. Some of the K420s are also ethanol. Some of the K600s are also ethanol. You can see that several of the K600s are also run through CP trains, which I think is pretty cool. And they run with CP power, I think, mostly, which would make sense. You can see that K677 is CN U70391. Now, CN uses very similar symbols to CSX with the letter prefix and then the number, except they use two numbers at the very end, which basically allows them to use the same symbol but for different originating and terminating points. Like, for example, they could use Q121 31 and Q121 51 for two different trains. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but that's how they do things. But otherwise, they're pretty similar. to CSX. K800s are your phosphate and phosphate, potash, molten sulfur, steel slabs. But yeah, pretty much there's that. And then they also use W for work or bulk commodity trains. The WO series is usually the geometry train or inspection vehicle. The W200 is the propane loads and propane empties. I caught that W201 at Fostoria in 2018 with a BNSF Ace, I think, leading. That was pretty cool. W207 is a Coke empty out of Newport News. I caught that once at Lightfoot. He comes in eastbound is W210. I have not had the chance to catch that yet. The W230 and W240 series are Coke, or no, I'm sorry, sand loads. W238, 39, 54, 56, they're all sand. And so on and so forth. Wind turbine loads is W231. Go down a little further, you got coal ash loads. W270 is unit corn syrup. Trains carry everything these days. Apparently W440 is the former W665 and K965. We'll come back to that in a second. W654 is still the Lux Stone train as far as I know. And W697 is still the rock empties from Portsmouth. But all that's still going to change because what do we have here? So the B series are bulk commodities, and read what it says below. Majority are former W trains. Now, the B440 is Newport News to Luck, Virginia. But look at that. The W667, which I believe is the rock empty that works the Martin Marietta plant at Lee Hall, Virginia, is now B441. So, yeah, I don't know. That's very weird. I don't know why they didn't just make it B667, but they made it B441. It's just very strange. The ammonia empties and the ammonia loads on the A line are now, that were W943 and W944, are now B443 and B444. B443 was the one that Aiden caught at Stony Creek. So I'm pretty sure that this is a legit list. And I'm not 100% certain, don't quote me on this, but I think this La Puebla, Maryland to Millville, West Virginia might be, this B455, I think may be the former W751 rock runner that I saw at Gaithersburg, Maryland back in 2018. I think that's its new symbol. Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure, but I think that's its new symbol. And the former W567 from Vernon, Virginia to Newport News going east is now B467. The Luck, Virginia to Newport News train is now B465. So yeah, and apparently one of the other Portsmouth trains, rock trains, is B497. I'm not sure which one that is. But anyway, this is all just kind of the beginning here. All of the coal trains are eventually going to go to C for coal, like CN and like BNSF, CN, UP, KCS, basically all of the railroads that use the alphabetical symbols used now. It's basically kind of almost becoming a universal system. But so the C will be coal. Now the thing that gets me is they're going to use F for manifest. F as in freight. I don't really know how I feel about that. I would rather them use M for manifest like CN does. But whatever the case, that's what CSX is planning to do. So like trains like Q409, Q410, Q421, those are going to be F409, F410, F421, and it sounds very weird to me. But that's what they're planning on doing. All the mixed freights are going to be F prefix. Now the auto rack trains, I haven't heard any word on those either. I don't know if they're going to use A for auto rack or automobile like UP does, or I think KCS might do it too, or if they're going to use V for vehicle like BNSF does. They could use V because V used to be used for empty grain traffic, and now they don't use that anymore. Now it's G for directional, odd numbers, even numbers, east, west, north, south. So they could do that. I don't know that much yet. I know C is going to go to coal. F is going to go to freight. Obviously, B is going to be bulk commodity. As far as the locals are concerned, I know it's going to go to L. I don't know really what they're going to do with that. The only thing I can maybe think of is that maybe they might do it by region, kind of like. See how this is like with CN? See how it's like L500 and then 11 and L521? I think really what they could do would be do something like do like an L200, L300 for like an eastern region, and then an L400, L500 for the Midwest region, and then the western region or the mountain region could be L500, L600, or something like that. Just kind of divide them like so, and then the southern region could be like L700. I don't really know what they're going to do, but like I said, you can also see that CN symbols are very similar to CSX's, especially when you take into account that pretty soon this is what the coal train symbols are going to kind of look like, minus the two numbers on the end, but they're going to have the C prefix. I do think also they could have maybe used the S prefix for sand and sulfur trains like CN did, but they decided to not go that route. But, it's all good. I think CN symbols are pretty cool too. I just wanted to go ahead and add them in here at the very end. Grain symbols, again, very similar. G prefix. M for manifest, which again is what I wish CN would have done, but they didn't. You can see intermodal, the Q. I'm not sure why some of them have Z. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So yeah, they're pretty close. CN and CSX symbols, they're pretty close. Pretty close. But yeah, that's about all I have. And if you happen to listen to and watch the whole thing, kudos to you, and thanks for watching.